Representative Maldonado, how about from the state level? We've already heard one thing about the source of income, but what else can happen at the state level?
So aside from the source of income, one particular issue that truthfully came to me last year, which has been a remarkable process this year, is the sealing of eviction records. So right now, what I mean by that is once an eviction complaint has been filed, and I mentioned in the film, once it's ongoing, individuals who seek to look for an apartment elsewhere, that record is kept open for landlords to basically search and find that there's a case open, which then allows them to say, well, I'm not going to rent to this individual because of this ongoing case, without knowing the facts to any of what's taking place. Particular policy would seal that at the moment while it's in process, allowing the case to be vetted out, and if it were to go in favor of the defendant, then it would be sealed and not open to the public. Where if it were open, if it went towards the plaintiff, and as I'm learning these terminologies, if it's on the side of the tenant, the landlord, then it would stay open. But that's a particular case that's sort of gained momentum. It's mentioned in the film. I see a number of faces here today that have showed up in testimony at the General Assembly, which is very powerful, which is what I encourage individuals in the room to do today after learning about these particular policies that are at the General Assembly, to mobilize, to speak with your elected officials about these particular issues that you have a passion for. We do have an ongoing Affordable Housing Commission that I brought to light after several years. It was sort of left in the shadows. And then as I entered in the General Assembly, it was only obvious when asked if I would open up the Affordable Housing Commission regarding Low Moderate Act, where cities and towns need to meet a 10% mark, in which only 5 of the 38 have met that 10%. It's been an ongoing process. It is a large issue. It does take time, but it's these types of panel discussions informing us of what you recognize in your communities, what you believe may be solutions, and bringing them to the table. My commission, hopefully this year, we have planned to be on the road, to have meetings on the road, to really discuss what's happening in town, especially the most suburban districts that have sort of presented some pushback on creating affordable housing in their districts for a number of different reasons. There is a commission report that is available and open to the public. But aside from all of what I just said, I think this comes from a place within, someone who, again, was basically, I think I would say I had about a month to leave my home while I was in the General Assembly, never spoke about it. Took care of my mom, my brother, and someone who was in that process. So you think as an elected official, myself, I'll speak as if I have this, you know, I live and earn a certain income. That wasn't the case. I'm a young professional just figuring out work life and decided to make a change and enter the General Assembly. And in that process, it often was left behind that I was still a girl from the inner city in one of those poorest districts in the state of Rhode Island, supporting my mother, who was on her retirement and had been cleaning houses for 40 years and never had a pension or a savings account. I took upon the responsibility, earning only $40K or less a year, to figure out what we were going to do because we were being told to leave an apartment. I share this because I give this little push because this issue does touch. There's a lot of emotion to it, but I do believe that if we want to see a change, if we want to speak about creating a movement, it requires you all to be in the General Assembly on a daily basis, because that's how you shift the room. It's not going to just be me on 75 members to convince them I'm pushing a green button. It's you all being there, knocking on their doors, constituent calls, and saying, I really want this because A, B, and C. It's not just coming from me, but it's coming from the faces, well diverse, that believe in it. So, thank you, and I hope to see you guys on Tuesday.